Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn. And today I've brought back one of my favorite guests. She's not just mine, but a lot of you have written to me and asked, when is she coming again? And she's here today. And I hope that she will be able to answer some of the questions that you people have or that you've written to me about. So her name is Patricia Monna, and she is known and is famous for her remote viewing because she's had many successes with it, and I'm sure she has more to share with us today. Patricia, welcome back to Conversations with Jennylyn.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel truly honored. Thank you.
Well, Patricia, I am honored. There's so much in life that we cannot understand, and a large percentage of people, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know what it is, but if they don't understand it, they just dismiss it and they think it's craziness. But in your case, and in the case of every remote viewer, you have the evidence because you have located the missing people. So no one can argue with what you do, although they may not understand how it is done. So, in the previous shows, you've shared how you've sat in your living room and you found 29 missing bodies in different parts of the world. Have you found anyone else since?
I'm still working on casework, and I don't hear all the time right away. I mean, it's definitely not as quick as what you see on TV. So no, we're still at number 29.
Okay, so I think that I want to ask you this. So is part of that reason, because there's so many missing people, because people don't know of you, or is it because you're too busy to take on new cases?
Well, and that's the thing. Like my missing person cases, I do that all completely free of charge. So it's really when I have the time to do it. So right now I'm not taking on any more new cases, simply because I still have about 6 of them that are ongoing investigations that need my focus. So because when you take on too many investigations, lines can get crossed. Right. So I'm very particular about when I take cases. I have to make sure that I've got enough time to commit to that investigation. So.
Well, I am so grateful to you that you do this for free, because I would imagine people with someone missing in their life and family, they're already traumatized and they're already going through so much. And oftentimes they hardly have the money. So to charge them, I think it's very, it's a gift to the world that you're willing to do this when you can to help people.
I truly believe that, you know what, if God gave me this crazy ability to be able to bring missing loved ones home, I feel like it is my duty to do it. And I think that it would be very unethical to be able to charge someone in their worst time of need, because no one saves up for their child to go missing. Right. So I look at it as paying it forward, because you know what, you never know when I might need someone to help me. So it's just my way of paying it forward.
Well, this is great. Well, I am doing these interviews with you, and, shared your interviews around the world with various people. And I'm sure that if any, God forbid, people will know how to find you in a situation of crisis. So off the camera, you and I were talking, and you were telling me that the suicide rate is up. You want to talk about, should we start with that?
Sure. So I think that, what people don't understand is that there really is a spiritual war that's going on right now. And modern day warfare, it's not like you're going to see, demons in the sky and angels in the sky. It's not like that. When COVID came in, I shouldn't even say that word. When it came in, it changed the energy big time of people in their lives on a personal scale, on a global scale. And there's a lot more negativity that's around right now. When people are wearing masks, no one's even looking at each other in the eyes anymore. No one's smiling, no one's hugging. We're technically not even supposed to be hugging people. And we need that. We need that constant contact. And I remember a couple months ago, I actually hugged a client on his way out, and he started crying. He just melted and started crying. He says, Patricia, I haven't been hugged in 9 months. And it's so traumatizing to not have, that connection with everyone that we're used to. It can be quite shocking. And I think that, now that we're already a year into this, it's wearing on people like you wouldn't believe. And there is a war on consciousness right now. And so one thing that I've noticed is that, spiritually speaking, negative energy can stick to you, and it can feel like a feedback loop of negative thoughts over and over and over in your mind. It literally merges with your mind. And so the greatest thing that you can do to shield yourself from any sort of psychic attacks or energetic attacks is to stay in a state of meditation and prayer. It's to stay mindful and completely in the now. I heard a saying that snapped me out of my depressive state. And it says, depressed people live in the past, anxious people live in the future, peaceful people live in the present. So it's very important to stay as present as humanly possible right now, because then you can see what is your thoughts and what are invasive thoughts that can be coming from an outside source that are influencing your mind, right? We need to guard our consciousness. So even the music that we listen to, if a song was written by someone that was in pain when they wrote it, you're going to feel the vibration of that pain every time you play that song. And the thing is that that's why we connect songs that can bring us right back to a painful memory, because all of a sudden, if we vibrate with the words, if the words of a sad song are what our heart is feeling, it's going to get stuck inside your head, right? And be on repeat. Well, these negative thoughts can happen like that as well, where it's very invasive. So you need to be able to guard what story you're accepting into your consciousness. Because if you're listening to sad music or music with a very negative message behind it, our cells are listening. And even if we're repeating it in our head, because, that's the song of the day, we're not realizing that we're actually embedding somebody else's pain inside of our bodies. It's what we're vibrating with.
Isn't that something? I never thought of it like that, but it absolutely makes so much sense.
Yeah, you're putting someone else's pain inside of your body. The saddest country songs, there's a reason why it'll make you feel sad when you listen to it. Same thing with upbeat songs, empowering songs. Like, think of probably the first time, if you ever heard that song by The Greatest Showman, or I think it's called, with Hugh Jackman, the song This Is Me. The first time I heard that song, it was like, oh, you could just feel the power of the words and who wrote it and where they were at and the power of the message behind it, right? It literally elicits a feeling within us. That's what a powerful song does. It's a powerful message. So whose message are we embedding into ourselves? And then we wonder why we walk around stressed out and depressed. Watch what is influencing you. Music, TV, movies. I just read a book, and I will say this, excellent book, A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Because I was thinking to myself, the consciousness on this planet is getting pretty negative out there right now. So we need to hold the light. That's what we're here to remind people. We have to hold the light for people who don't know how to hold their light. We have to kind of light the way. And that book, A Man's Search for Meaning, it was written by a survivor of the concentration camps. And in there, when I picked up the book, I'm thinking, how did they get through the worst possible hell on earth? And this is less than 100 years ago. So this wasn't that long ago. These are our ancestors, only one generation away, right? So we have to ask, where did anyone think that it was a good idea to try and wipe out a whole race, right? That was the consciousness back then. We have to be careful of our consciousness, or else we're going to soon think that that kind of behavior is acceptable again, and it's not. We need to absolutely learn from our ancestors and what happen from that time frame, or else we're treading into very, scary territory once again. So kindness, we have to remember to exude love at all times. We have to remember that hurt people. So we got to heal our stuff, right? We have to heal our stuff, or we're just going to continue on that cycle and it'll never be broken.
Well, there are a large percentage of people who are subscribing to the belief that the COVID virus was created to do exactly what you just said they tried to do generations ago, where they tried to wipe half of the population off, or
Absolutely.
whatever the percentage was that they were trying to get rid of. What do you think of that?
I think that it's definitely biological warfare. I definitely believe that it was made in a lab. We're probably going to get censored because I'm saying that, but it's the truth. That's what I saw. It was made in a lab. It's got a very evil intention behind it. That is not Mother Nature cleansing herself. That's an evil intention. And I think that there is a big political agenda that is behind this virus.
Okay. So Patricia, there are a lot of people who are hurting right now, like you said. I know a lot of them, and a large percentage has to do with the virus because it's killed their loved ones. A really dear friend of mine, her father took the vaccine and died because he had COVID and he wasn't aware that he had it. And it killed him almost instantly. And I'm just looking at all the people I know who've lost people close to them to this virus. And yet there are people out there saying it's not real. But like you said, the very first time I interviewed you, your reality has a lot to do with your experience, right? So they clearly haven't experienced the loss due to it. So they continue to believe it's not real. A lot of people who cannot handle what is happening now are committing suicide because they think if they kill themselves, that it stops everything. Do you want to talk about suicide to people?
Well,
apparently they're not aware they have a soul that goes on.
And absolutely. And the one thing that the correlation that I have noticed, that all of these suicides that I've been made aware of in the past just in these past few weeks, they've all been hanging. That's the commonality. Every single one of them died by hanging. So we have to stop and ask what was going through their minds that thought that was a good idea, right? Because even, I think it was 2015 or 2016, one of the correlations that I noticed with women back then was that I think it was 5 or 6 bodies were found, and they were all found in the river, jumping in the river. And I look back and you can see an entity or an energy thought form that wasn't theirs. You can see it within their field. If you're psychic, you can see it on them. And, or if you're even, you don't even need to be psychic. You can sense it within their energetic field, right? So there's absolutely outside forces that can merge with your mind and get in there. And it's like a secondary voice. And the sad thing is that it's not like you're hearing a disembodied voice inside of your head, like a man's voice going, oh, you need to kill yourself. It's not that. It'll start with subtle thoughts, and then it'll get louder and louder. And like a song that you can't get out of your head, you can't get the idea of doing that out of your head, right? It's almost like it completely convinces you to hate life. Well, that's not, here's the thing about suicide. Everything happens in a person's life. It's recorded in their book, right down to the way they're going to leave this earth. There's a book of life on these people. And so for me as a psychic medium, it's like taking down their book off the shelf from the library, opening it up and just scanning from chapter to chapter and going back and forth in their timeline. So when a person's life ends, believe it or not, it's pre-planned. You cannot die before your time. That's why not everyone who tries to commit suicide is actually does it. You know, think of it this way. Why is there some people that they can try and, you know, harm themselves and there's someone to help them immediately or to pull them off the bridge? There's somebody there. And then there's other people that try it once and unfortunately they're successful. Why is that?
Why?
Because you can't die before your time. You can't die before your time. So if you're meant to be saved, you will be. But if you're meant to
succeed, the ones who succeed, does that mean that they were supposed to die?
Yeah, it was pre-written. We cannot die before our time. Everything is connected, right down to our last breath. So it becomes then a lesson for the people that are left behind, the family members that are grieving for that soul. Because if you think about it this way, at the end of the day, none of us make it out of here alive. None of us do, right? And our exit points are pre-planned before we even get there. That's why you'll hear, like, even with 9/11, there was a lot of people that had that sensation to call and say goodbye to their loved ones, or, you know what I mean? That precognition that they know that there is, you know, even my dad was killed in down in the States in a workplace accident. And the month before he died, he sat there and changed his will to make me executor. He wrote down all of his bills and he's like, this is who you need to call and cancel. You know, these are my memberships. He went through it all. And he died by accident. So there's no such thing as accidents. There really isn't, right down to the time, the second of someone's last breath. So we have to take comfort in knowing that we are going to see them again. And someday, this stuff that seems so random, it will make sense. Someday we're going to get over to the other side with them. And we're going to be able to sit them down and find out exactly why they chose to do that. But for the ones that are left behind grieving, unfortunately, it's awful. Hurt. You just pass it down. When someone commits suicide, the pain doesn't stop. It just transfers to the people that cared and loved that person the most. So if anyone is watching this that has any sort of, you know, is struggling with the depression and anxiety right now, understand that there is a war on consciousness. And the more you learn to connect, have a spiritual connection, get into a state of prayer, get into a state of meditation, go within, find out and figure out what is making your soul cry. What is it that needs to change within your life? Because you are the one that's in control of your happiness. We can be happy on death row. We can be happy on death row. It's a choice of how we're looking at the situation, right?
Right.
So this is where we have to teach the people. And even me, I'm not above excruciating pain. My father was my best friend, and then my mom died in my arms of breast cancer a year later. It hurts to lose your loved ones. It's the most excruciating pain that I've ever gone through. But I also know that we will see them again. They're literally a whisper away. You even think of your loved one on the other side and boom, they're right beside you.
So as a psychic, do you feel your parents around you often?
You know what just went through my head? I can feel my dad standing right here. I can feel him. So it's interesting that you asked that.
Because, can I tell you what? I saw him behind you.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
That's why I asked you, because I also have that gift where I feel them a lot of times. And once in a while I see, I'll see someone. But I don't understand why people have such a difficult time with this. I just had a conversation the last 2 consecutive days with 2 different friends who are very fearful of death. One is in her 90s and she's so afraid of dying.
And you know what? I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was a palliative oncology nurse for 13 years before I did this. So I've literally held hundreds of people in my arms as they took their last breath. And that is such an honor, because I got to tell you, the party in the room when someone is passing away, it is choirs of angels singing. It becomes so peaceful and so the room changes. The energy in the room actually shifts to one of peace and harmony, because you could feel the angels coming in to get the loved one and bring them to the other side. And if we knew how absolutely amazing it is to be out of our body, to expand, and to be able to see the answers of every question that we've ever had, like it's mind-blowing. I can't wait. And I know that sounds really weird, but if I ever got, God forbid, diagnosed with the C word or anything, because it's rampant in my family, I'm embracing it. I will go when God calls me home, and I will not fight. I'll be sitting on the beach with my margarita waiting.
I have the same exact feeling about death. I do not fear it because I recognize it's a transition.
Oh, totally.
I've seen too many of my loved ones have come to me. I felt them to fear death. But I must ask you, there are people in this world, as you said, there's a spiritual war going on.
Yes.
There are people who work in light, there are people who work in dark.
Yeah.
And I've had experience with those people. They've tried to hurt me. Okay, they can't. Nobody can hurt me. I'm a strong light of God. What happens with the dark practitioners when they cross? Do you know?
Yes. So here's the thing, dark and light, we all go through the same process. So you know how people say, who've had a near-death experience, they'll say that they saw light at the end of the tunnel, and they'll say that they saw their whole life flash before them. Well, that's true. But what they're not putting emphasis on is what it looked like and what it felt like, because you actually don't see it through your eyes and your senses. You see it through everyone else's that you've ever come into contact with. So if I was to beat you up and harm you, upon my death, I am literally going to see my fists flying at you. Same thing with if I give you a hug or help you, that sensation of love is way stronger than any darkness. So it's almost like the most euphoric spiritual orgasm, that you get over there and you're having and that you're experiencing when you're spreading love, right? So that's the only way we're ever going to be able to see the actions and reactions and how that contributed to the footprint that we left behind. What did our energetic signature create, right? So if you think about Hitler, for example, he literally has to go through the experience of every single person that he ever tortured, hurt, maimed, anything. Now, here's the interesting thing. The sins of the father are passed down 7 generations. He has to feel 7 generations worth of pain of what he did. So his hell is, and eternity is going to feel like hell and eternity, because he hurt a lot of people. He killed and did atrocious things to a lot of people. He has to feel that. He has to experience every single one of them. Now, here's the other thing. There's no such thing as time on the other side. So that replay of Auschwitz and every concentration camp and every person that he sent to the gas chambers, he has to experience it in their time. So that's going to feel like eternity. Now, like I said, if we hold each other up and we spread love, I can't explain to you how much the spiritual rewards are on the other side. It's absolutely amazing. Now, to eradicate, how do you eradicate? So you're that tie to all the painful experiences that's ever happened to you or that you've contributed to. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is what frees the soul from experiencing the atrocities of our own personal behavior. Because I'm a villain in someone's story. So are you. I'm also an amazing person in someone's story. So are you. We all are, right? So it's forgiveness, true forgiveness, that will completely cut the tie of experiencing that trauma again. It makes it neutral. It takes the charge out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. So so many religions teach heaven and hell. Do you want to, can you speak to that? Can you explain what that is?
We create it. We literally go to the vibration that which we are. So like I said, our cause and effect, our free will, that can be our heaven or our hell, but we absolutely create it. And I do believe that when we're focused on love and compassion and raising the vibration of humanity in this earth and healing people, we're going to a very special place.
Okay, so people are held accountable then.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, 100% we are. But that's the thing, is that we are also holding ourselves accountable on the other side, because we're actually experiencing the ripple effect. Because what if I say something to you and it sticks with you, it hurts you the rest of your life, and you make certain choices based on what I said? I get to feel that too, because my karma is tied to that.
A lot of people don't believe in karma. Can you explain what karma is for the people who are afraid of the word, or for whom the word has some negative connotation?
Oh, my little dog, my little Pomeranian, her name is Karma. So karma really is a bitch. But it's what goes around comes around. And I truly believe that what we put out, we get back. Kindness is a currency. People will always remember how you make them feel. They may not remember what you say, but they will always remember how you make them feel, right? Well, it goes both ways. And I truly believe, yeah, it does. It comes back around. And if we don't forgive and eradicate that energy, we do carry it with us to the other side. We do. And that pulls down our vibrations.
So a lot of people, I've been following a lot of spiritual teachers, because like I've said on many videos, people in this world who know how to access darkness to hurt other people have tried to do that to me. And as a result, in trying to clear it off of me, I have been privy to lots of teachers like yourself. And one of the things that I've learned is when we die, heaven as we know it, if we're Catholic or some Christian religions, you're taught when you die, you go to this beautiful, wonderful place. You go to this pot of boiling charcoal, and it's miserable. And I would imagine, depending on what you've done, you do go to a similar type place. But what I am learning, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you leave this plane, or when you transition, because we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, when we lose our physical form, our spirit goes somewhere. But
Yes.
It's not just a heaven. You can go to several different places.
Absolutely.
Could you explain that to people like me who are not clear?
I think that there is infinite dimensions out there. And it's interesting because even in the Bible, it says up there in my, how does it go? In my
house, there are many mansions.
That's it. Thank you. And so it's interesting that science is even proving now about interdimensional realities, and I think that there is a lot of truth to the different mansions up there, because God, there's so many different realms out there, things like angels, aliens, fairies, all of these are different dimensions that are out there. It's just, for us, we are only able to see, or a lot of people are only able to see into the 3D dimension with their eyes, right? We got to go within. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and the keys to the kingdom are within you. So if you want to experience these other dimensions of reality, you have to go within to do it. And I know a lot of people will use drugs, or hallucinogenics in order to get there. And yes, psilocybin, things like that will open your mind to these different realities. But there's other ways to do it where you're not having to ingest something that's not necessarily wonderful for you. Meditation, transcendental meditation, binaural beats, that will also help you to go within to be able to experience that. Astral projection, is going into another realm all in itself. And yeah, it's definitely real. And for people who know how to astral project, you're going to see other worlds. You're going to see things that are not part of this reality.
What would you say to someone watching this show going, how does she know all this stuff she's talking about? Because, there's always the skeptic.
Yep.
skeptics are the ones that your definition applies to perfectly when you say the difference between those who believe and those who don't is the experience. And I'm going to admit on camera, I was a big skeptic, because I would say back in 2005, I was warned that people were doing dark things to me. And I'm like, that is the craziest thing, you know? And I just kind of shoved it away because it sounded crazy to me. But over the years, when I started to have physical manifestations that couldn't be explained, and I went to sources, I found out who and what was happening. It became real for me then. And that's when I woke up to this other parallel existence that we are so unaware of. So someone watching this show and listening to everything you're saying, they're looking at you going, you're an oncology nurse. How do you know all this? How do we know you're telling the truth?
Well, if you don't, go and experience it for yourself. And that's the thing. All I can do is teach you what I know, what I've experienced, right? I've got a beautiful meditation studio here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I teach people how to go within. I teach them so they can see it and experience it for themselves, because it is very true. The only difference between a skeptic and a believer is the experience. So don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Experience it for yourself. Go within. Transcendental meditation, binaural beats, but you gotta take the time to do it if you want to have the experience, because even being a psychic, it's a muscle. The more you use it, the more it comes. The readings and the depth of what I see now compared to 10 years ago, there's no comparing it, right? But you got to go within to experience it for yourself. All I know is that it's very real in my reality, and it helped brought 29 missing people home. So I encourage you to go within yourself and see what latent abilities are sitting there lying in your subconscious. You'll never know what you're capable of until you try. If I would listen to all the skeptics telling me I couldn't do it, I'm so glad I didn't listen. So glad
you didn't listen too. So Patricia, does everybody have this gift? Because some people say, I listened to a fine gentleman that I'm hoping to interview very soon, and his name is Mr. Russell Targ, and
I love him.
You love him, isn't he?
I do. I'm a big fan of Russell Targ. He's amazing.
Well, I am hoping to introduce the two of you very soon.
I would love that.
I am going to be sending this. He told me he wants to see this interview. I'll be sending it to him after.
That's awesome. I feel so honored.
I will connect the two of you after. But he says we all have this gift. You says we all have this gift. Why do you think people are not aware that they have it?
They don't look. They don't take the time to look. You have to go within, right? And I mean, if you're not interested in it, it won't open up. There's got to be that natural zest, curiosity, in order to delve within, because you'll get bored of not seeing anything if you just try it a couple times and then give up. No. So I was trained at the Monroe Institute, and Russell Targ will know that place very well. And it's mind-blowing. If you want your mind blown, go to the Monroe Institute, because everyone can be taught remote viewing. Some people, it's just like playing the piano. If you have 10 fingers and you're capable of going like this, you can play the piano. Now, some people are going to play like a concert pianist, and some people will play like me, like this, but we're all at varying different levels of degrees. And so the more you do it, like I said, the more it comes. And there's many different ways. I don't just do remote viewing. For me, the whole story unfolds when I look into a target. And I see things scene for scene. So I'll give you an example. I don't know if I shared this with you before, but I'll show you one of my remote viewing targets. We did practice, and I kept some of it to be able to show, because it'll give a good idea.
But I want you to show it again, because this is another show, right?
Okay, so for example, this target here, was an outbounder exercise. So it was someone who was alive. So basically look through their eyes. what are they looking at in that moment in time? Someone who's alive, you got to get into their energetic signature and be able to see through their eyes. So this was the target, Lake Eola Park. And that's what I drew.
Pretty amazing.
Right? You see the trees, the buildings, the fountain, and that was in real time. Looking, and there's the trees, the buildings, the fountain, and the water. That's real-time remote viewing, looking through someone who's alive and tracking their energetic signature. This one here, this one was, okay, we're going to show you a video clip in 20 minutes. We want you to remote view into the future. What am I going to show you on that TV screen in 20 minutes? So the clip was a rocket ship blasting off into space, and then one part of it split off and goes, I don't know, out into space, and the other part lands on Mars, and it opens it up, and it's the Mars rover. And then it walks around and it takes pictures on the planet Mars, right? So I drew the whole story. There's the spaceship going off into Mars. And there's the camera dude crawling all over the surface, right? So it works. It works to bring missing people home. It works. And the thing is that if you can get into the energetic signature of anything, a person, place, or thing, doesn't matter what it is, there's nothing that you can't see. Honestly, there's nothing that you can't see. You just need to be able to get into the energy signature of that thing.
Why would you encourage anyone watching this segment to become more spiritually aware, to become more learned in terms of how they can use their own energy to protect themselves? I know from experience that I wish someone had taught me this long time ago, because I could have protected myself from stuff that was being done in the dark to me, to hurt me.
Totally. I think it's very important to know, where we're going when we die. That's our next step. Why wouldn't you want to know that? And by getting to know yourself, by getting to know your God source, and I don't care what you call it, you can call it Buddha, Allah, Christ consciousness, Jesus. It's a connection that will change your life because it guides you in the right direction. It doesn't just protect you, it guides you as well. And when you're in that flow, healing takes place on such a deep level and very quickly too. It changes you. And that's what this world is in need of right now, is connection, is that God force energy to come in and change our lives, change our perspective, right? Because your thoughts become your actions become your reality. So if we're sitting listening to the shitty committee all the time, our actions are going to reflect that. Right? And that's what's happening with the consciousness on this planet right now, is that people don't know how to deal with their stress. They don't know how to lean into their faith instead of falling into fear. And that's the problem. We're faithless. And without God in our lives, it's not good. It isn't good. That's what's happening.
And Patricia, you started off your life as a nurse in the medical field, and now you are doing this.
Yes.
While you were a nurse, and you told me in previous interviews that they started taking bets on you at the hospital because you would tell the doctors where the carcinoma was. Yeah. And you helped them with other, diagnosing other situations, and you were right. Mm-hmm. What did you think of yourself then? Because you didn't have any of this training. Did you know what it was?
Well, I just thought everyone had that, to be honest with you. Like, I remember even in high school looking at my girlfriends, and going, what do you mean you didn't know he was cheating on you? What's wrong with you? It's so obvious. I didn't know, because it's not like I see dead people walking through walls or hear dead people's voices in my head. It's not like that at all. That would lead me to the loony bin. So for me, with the energy of patients, I thought everyone could feel and see that. I didn't know that that it was a gift until things started really happening. And I think when I realized that, oh my goodness, where can this go? It was after finding my very first missing person. That was what really caught my attention, because it was like, okay, if I can do that, what else can I do? What else is this capable of? Because we have no idea what we're capable of. And I mean it. I'll tell you one thing about my ability. So I have something called synesthesia. And before, it was just like, well, I thought everyone has that. So I see my letters and numbers and colors, and I can feel music. I can taste sound. I know that that sounds really weird, but some people's voices, or like I can literally feel it. Voices will give me goosebumps. And so it was like, what's the point of that? Having a white 1 and a yellow 2 and a 3, my 3 is green, 4 is blue. You know what I mean? One thing that I noticed, that when I'm doing remote viewing, because when you're in the right brain, your left brain does not register letters, numbers, things like that. It looks scrambled, right? Well, for me, if I'm chasing a perpetrator, will say, and I'm looking for a license plate, I will see a barcode of colors, right. And I will know which number and letter I will know what letter and number is on that license plate, depending on what the color is, because your left brain doesn't work when you're out in your right brain. And so I've learned to decode the language of spirit just by having something as simple as synesthesia, where it's combining the senses.
Unbelievable. We've run out of time. I was setting an extra 5 minutes and you're speaking. So
sorry.
But I mean, I could see me doing lots of segments with you as much as you have time, because my friends really enjoy your interviews, and they always ask me, when is Patricia coming back again? And I think because there is a hunger inside of us. We know there is something else.
Yes.
This is like a taboo subject, and a lot of people judge this. Judge what you're saying, judge what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
I'm beyond that.
Yeah, we got that.
It's like, if you want to stay stuck and you don't want to grow, that's your choice, and I respect that. But I want to keep growing, and I want to help others who are interested in growing. And one of the ways I can do that is by sharing someone like you with them, because you're learned and you're an expert. And before we wrap the show up, I want to ask you this question, because you shared that you were there with people as they were crossing, and you said it was really peaceful and the angels came in. Did you actually see the angels, or did you feel it? And did you think that every nurse has this experience when they're with a patient who's crossing?
Well, I think that you can go into palliative nursing as an atheist or a skeptic, but you're not going to come out of there as an atheist or a skeptic. You experience too much working hand in hand with people that are dying, right? So do I think that every nurse will have this experience? Yeah, at some point in their career. If they work in hospice, yeah, there's a lot that will tell you stories. Animals can sense spirit. We had a resident cat at our hospice, and it would literally jump on the bed and stay with the person who was dying until they passed. So we knew that when the cat came in the room and was laying on the bed, that person was getting ready to pass. So you experience things that you just can't explain, but everyone is on their own journey, and it's up to them on what they want to accept as their truth. All I know is my truth. And I'm on a mission to be able to share that with others, but not to make it their truth, but to open them to the idea that their truth needs to be looked into.
I'm very grateful to you for being so open and so honest, because I feel that there are a lot of people suffering because they think they're dying, like they have a terminal illness, or they're just older, and it's inevitable. Death, as you said earlier, is inevitable. Absolutely. None of us are going to escape it. And some of us believe that unless we hit like 100 or something, we're not going to die. We can die at any time.
Absolutely.
This is already written when we die.
It is.
one of the reasons I like doing these shows, and I've been called a trailblazer because I dare to go where people fear, because I don't care what people's judgments of me are. It's not going to help my life either way.
Absolutely.
So I want people to have peace and understand that life is not just what we know and we experience in these physical bodies. There is a spiritual world in existence in parallel with our physical world, and they're connected. We've come from there, and we are here for a journey, here for an experience. And if we keep an open mind, then I think this physical experience will be a better experience, because we will have insights and direction. What do you want your final message to be for my viewers today?
Find your peace. Breath is life. So take a big, deep breath in, pull in that light, and exhale light, and just find your peace in this moment, because all we have is this moment. We can't stress about stuff that's out of our control, and we most certainly can't fix yesterday. So learn to enjoy and stay present. The rest will fall into place.
And for the people who fear death, what do you want us to do?
Absolutely do not fear death. Trust me, it is a party on the other side. To be able to get out of chronic pain and misery and bills and everything that happens on this earth, it is so much greater. Please have nothing to fear. It is absolutely, there is a heaven. There absolutely is.
Thank you so much for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. Patricia is so gracious in spending her time. She could be finding a missing body, but she's here making this clear for us to understand. I believe what she's saying. I've been privy to a lot of what she's shared. And so I encourage you to remain faithful. I will bring Patricia back again until we're all informed and we have peace in our lives. So Patricia, thank you so much for taking time out today to share your expertise with us. And I hope if you're someone watching this show and you fear death, or you don't believe that there's another life outside of this one, hopefully this segment will share some light on those beliefs. Mm-hmm. And I will see you next time with another fascinating guest. That's what I do. I bring you fascinating people. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.